Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I went from this here to this here. I know sometimes we want to insert some digital paper or some pattern or glitter or whatnot. I'm going to show you guys how to do that in this color specifically. So what you want to start off is grab the clip art that you want to work with, and then make sure you have that layer selected. I work a lot with this magic wand. So with this magic wand, you have the option to change the tolerance up here. The less, the lower the number, the less it selects. The higher the number, the more it selects. So anything, let me just show you guys. If I go 100, you'll see that there's like a little sprinkle here in pink. And then there's shadows and whatnot on this cupcake. So if I go at 100, it's probably going to select it all, only because that is pretty close to the color. So it's going to select that and obviously a lot more. So um, that's not something that I want. If it was maybe just like a solid color, I would go at 100. In this case, I'm going to do Control Z, and I'm going to drop it down to maybe, I don't know, just to kind of play with it, I'll do 45. And that kind of works for me. You also have the option to uncheck this box. When you uncheck this box, what it's going to do when you select a color, it's going to look at the whole image itself. So if there's anything in pink, like let's say there was that pink down here, it would select it as well. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click it. And so it's going to start looking, and it noticed that this appears pretty similar to that color. So it selected that as well. I'll go back and deselect that in a little bit. In this case, I'm going to select this here. And I'm going to kind of look around. I noticed it selected this. Let's select that there. This here. Okay, so it selected everything that I needed. Again, I can come back and deselect this, which I will. And then I'll also deselect that. To deselect it, I can just do, this is the to add, and then this is to subtract. But I don't want to do the magic wand because it's going to still, be a little time consuming. I can use the lasso here, and then I make sure that I am under the minus. You see how there's a little minus on my cursor there? If I do the plus, it's going to add, continue to add. But in this case, I want to subtract. I want to make sure that this is not selected. So I just kind of do this, and it deselected that. I'm going to zoom in here. And I mean, I can go as detailed as I want, or I can just kind of, it all depends on how detailed you want to go. In this case, I'm just going to do this real quick. There you go. So it's deselected that as well. All right, now that I've got the pink that I want to work with, it's a good thing I zoomed in because I noticed this here as well. I'm just going to grab my lasso again. It's under the subtract, but I want to do the add. So I'm going to do this. I want to add all this to the selected area. And there you go. Again, this here, I want to add this. And you want to kind of give it a quick look around. Make sure you don't have anything that you missed, like I did. Okay, I think we're good now. Yep. So now that I have that selected, I'm going to do Control J. You'll notice it created another layer for me. So I just copied what I selected. If I turn this off, it's going to show you just that itself. At this point, then I can do a couple of things. The easiest thing for me is to right click and do blending options. And then under the blending options, I have a style here that says pattern overlay, and I'm going to go ahead and select that. Okay. I can change it to whatever color I've already defined the pattern to. So if you don't know how to define a pattern, I'll get to that in another quick video. But if you've already got patterns there, then you select whichever one it is that you want to put in there. In this case, I'm going to select this pink here. But you'll notice that the blending mode is under normal and it's flat. You lose the texture of that clip art. What you want to do is kind of come in here and play with it to see what best fits. So if I go lighten, it does that. I like that. If I go darken, that's that's okay too. Um, there was one, I believe it was, and then if the difference goes really dark, but there's one under pin light. I think that's the one. There you go. That one works for me. So I like that one in specific. You also have the option under scale to tell it how big you want that pattern to be or how small you want that pattern to be. If I go small, and you can barely even see the pattern. If I go maybe all the way to 1,000, you see it a little bit more. It just depends on what your preference is really. In this case, I think I'm okay with that. I'm gonna hit OK. And so now that's done there. And then I'm gonna hit another layer because I know if you noticed, I did a little star here. So that one, that in itself is a brush. So I created a new layer for it. You can look for brushes on Photoshop. I'm sorry, on online. I think there's one under breezy, brushy, breezy. But you can do free. Let me go into Google's free PSD, which is your Photoshop brushes. That's brushy, brush ZZ. Okay, well, I don't have internet right now. I'm in and out. But anyways, you would basically just look for your brush. And then under my brush here, you have the option to select the type of brush that you want. If you'll see, I've already got quite a few different brushes that I've worked with in the past. So it just kind of depends on which one it is that you like. So you see how it kind of changes. I am here. If I do that, I can make it smaller or bigger, whichever one it is that I want to do. Um, it just kind of depends on what it is that you want. And there's different styles of brushes. See here. So you just kind of put them wherever you want, and you can do as many as you want or whatever you know. Again, your preferences. So that's pretty much it. Once you're done there, you can either just select it all, right click and merge them. And then what you can do if you want to save it as a clip art, because you might think you might want to use it later on or in other areas, then you uncheck this one and then you go right click and quick export as PNG. And so then that gives you the option to put it in your file. I think I have one under cupcakes already or cakes. And so I'll just save it as a pink glitter cake. I'm just going to put one here because I had already saved one before. Hit save. And that's it. So I've already saved it in my file. If I ever need to use it again somewhere else, I can just pull it from wherever I saved it. Another thing you can do is I'm going to just do Control Z from the merged. And I'm going to save this as a template. So then I would go File, Save As, and under my clip art, I think it was cakes. I'm going to do cupcake. And then I could do cupcake template. save. That way, if there's ever a need for me to change the color on here or to change the pattern, I can do that. I want to do purple instead of that color. And I want to then do this. I can do that. If I also want to just, I'm going to remove the effect on that one. Let's say I just want to change the color on this to a purple. I don't want a pattern. I would select that layer, then go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. Click on Colorize just so that there's no confusion, and then select the color that you want it to be. So if I wanted it like a purple, I would go, this is kind of like a purplish color. Then I kind of play with the saturation till I get the color that I want, and then the darkness that I want. Let's say I want it that dark. Well, then I want that, or darker, or lighter. If I don't want it as purple, maybe I want more pinkish than purple, then I can do that. Maybe I want it blue, I come over to the blue, play with the saturation, play with the lightness, just depends on what kind of blue I want. So that's what I would do. Again, maybe this time you don't want the little sparkle, then you just turn that light off. Uncheck this one, make sure it's a transparent one, and then you would save this as a PNG as well.